Well, so nice to see you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And great to see you here in the UK. Why don't you start by telling us a bit about what you're doing here in London and what you've got planned for the next few weeks?
Well, I'm traveling around England, different places, Gateshead, Coventry, and visiting my fans, having my fans interact with me, getting to ask me questions and seeing what I think.
Yeah, I mean, tell us a bit about the tour, because how do you find it meeting fans and I guess talking about fights old and new, right?
Yeah, it's great meeting fans. They only have that one moment to meet you, and you can see it in their eyes and in their face and when they're speaking to you. So I'm very happy to go around and meet them and talk to them and make them know that I'm real.
Yeah, I'm sure lots of fans want to ask you about your time in the ring and also a bit about what's happening at the moment in terms of the heavyweight division. I think Daniel Dubois fresh in everyone's mind at the moment after that huge win over Anthony Joshua. I know you were there. What did you make of the fight?
I thought it was a great fight. I thought Daniel Dubois threw an unbelievable punch in the first round, and he came out ready to rumble. And like he said in his interview, I'm not scared of you. Who are you trying to scare? That type of thing. So when he was saying that type of thing in the press conference, I said, oh, we got to watch out for Daniel. He's serious right now. I was like, yeah, that was the first come out. So he's a pretty serious guy. He's a legitimate heavyweight, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned some of the comments that he made in the build-up, but it felt covering the fight week, he was saying these things, but still, I'm not sure anyone quite believed what he was going to do. Is it something that you predicted or thought that would happen?
When somebody's really quiet and don't really say too much, you gotta listen to the things he does say, and he did say these things, and he really meant them. So I knew that we were in for a great fight. I knew he was serious and he was prepared well.
I mean, that felt like that was a real moment of him announcing himself. We know he's been in some big fights, but I mean, how excited are you about him as a British heavyweight?
Very excited. He said he's the King Slayer, and he went out there and slayed the king and did a great job. And I don't think a lot of people realize how serious he was about it. Every heavyweight fight, especially when it comes to two British fighters, is always explosive, and there's always a lot of talk behind it, and at the end you got to back up your talk.
Would you like to see it again? Do you think we'll see a rematch? Is that something you'd want to watch again?
I don't know if there's going to be a rematch or not. I think with Anthony Joshua, he probably would want a rematch, and it'll be another great fight.
I mean, you know a thing or two about rematches. Can you talk to us a bit about what it is like getting back in the ring with someone who's got the better of you before, having to make changes and adjustments? What's it like going into a fight hoping to get a different result the second time around?
I've been through that at least twice, and it's first thing is, when you're saying you have a rematch, people are going, oh, they're concerned for you because you lost the first time. There's always that opportunity for you to lose again, and then they're wondering, well, are you mentally prepared? The fact that you're going to be looking across the ring at a guy that just beat you. For me, it was more of a, I got knocked down, but I got back up. For Anthony Joshua, he didn't get back up. He was, counted out a couple times, and that's kind of rough going back in there to a guy that's done that to you. You have to be mentally prepared and physically prepared to go back in there and say, hey, you can't do that to me again. The first time we went in there, I wasn't as prepared as I should have been, but now I'm prepared.
I mean, confidence, I guess, is a big part of that. How do you get that confidence in trying to right that wrong, right? Especially when you say you've got to look someone in the eye who's done that to you before.
Yeah, it's how he won. If he won by knocking you out, it's hard to go back in there and say, or you could go back in there and say, well, I got a fly in my eye or something happened and I wasn't fully prepared, but now I'm fully prepared. And, say that to yourself, but you got to be prepared. So I don't know if Anthony's going to be prepared for the next fight if they have a rematch.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's exciting. I mean, one rematch which I know everyone is so excited about is Usyk Fury. I mean, what do you make of that first time around as a starting point?
First time around, Tyson Fury may say, oh, he thought he won the fight. But, when you look at the fight, I don't think he did enough work. I think for the second fight, he has to do a little bit more work.
Is it the result that you expected? Because I think you'd had predicted Fury on points, is that right?
Yeah, I would think that Fury would have won on points, but in the fight, he wasn't doing enough work to win on points. And Usyk, Oleksandr Usyk was doing a lot of work. He said what he was going to do. He said he's going to be on top of him from round one. I think this next fight is going to be the same thing. Oleksandr Usyk's going to be on him from round one. I think Tyson may come in a bit heavier and not move around as much as the first fight, and probably put more punches together.
If you were working with Fury in the build-up to this, what would you be advising him? What would you be saying that he needs to change or do differently for December?
Maybe throw a lot more punches and, drive him back a bit, drive Oleksandr Usyk back to the ropes and take advantage of him there.
Do you see a different result this time around?
I hope there's a different result. I mean, you never know what can happen in a heavyweight fight, but like I said, if Tyson Fury does the work, he'll win. If Oleksandr Usyk does the work, he'll win too. So it's whoever does the work first.
Another fight we want to ask you about, which I've heard that you might be travelling to as well, is Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, which is fascinating for so many different reasons. I mean, what did you initially think when you heard that Mike Tyson was going to be getting in the ring with Jake?
I was thinking that Jake Paul was going to be in trouble because, Mike Tyson knows how to throw great body punches, great headshots. And, we just have to see if he's going to do them in the ring. I'm hoping that he'll do that.
I watched the trailer for it last night from the Netflix production, and it looks amazing the way it's all been put together. And I wouldn't expect anything less actually from anything that Jake Paul's involved in. But lots of concern from some people about Tyson being in the ring aged 58. I mean, what do you think about him fighting at that age?
It's a task. It's hard to box at when you're that old, moving around the ring, throwing punches, getting punches thrown at you. But I think he can handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you talk about it's a hard task at 58, but can you give us a prediction? What are you expecting for that fight?
Yeah, Mike Tyson just kind of, cutting off the ring and throwing some body and head blows when he can catch up to Jake Paul. I'm sure Jake Paul will be moving fast, moving around the ring. He's not going to want to stand there and get hit by Mike Tyson.
I don't blame him, nor would I. I mean, a fascinating spectacle, I guess, either way. And you'll be there ringside, right?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. It's going to be exciting again. Another thing, bringing my kids, so they'll love it.
I mean, what do you make of this kind of side of boxing, the way that it's moved? A bit of misfits, YouTubers. I mean, do you think that's good for the growth of the sport, or you find it frustrating?
It's good. It's good and bad because a lot of boxers that are out there training hard and working and trying to get a shot at the championship don't get a chance. All of a sudden a YouTuber comes along and gets all the excitement, all the praise and the money. So in that way, it's not fair.
You couldn't be tempted back in yourself?
There's always a tempt. There was always a tempt. Being a boxer, everybody is always saying, well, when are you going to go back in the ring? I'm like, I've retired. There's a moment, a time, and then you got to leave it alone and go into something else, and that's me.
Yeah, you're enjoying life on the other side of the ropes. And just finally, because I know lots of other people want to chat to you, but can we just ask you a bit about what you make of the British boxing landscape at the moment? I mean, we're chatting about other fights coming up, someone like Chris Billam-Smith, such an exciting prospect, Fury fighting again this year. I mean, what's your kind of overall assessment of where British boxing is at?
It's big, it's grown, it's growing, it's getting bigger, it's exciting, and it's fantastic. All those words.
How do you think it compares to when you were fighting?
I think we were the start. If you look at the Four Kings, you can see what happened in my era, all the things, all the crowds, all the fights, and it's just different. It's just a different level back then. And even now, just growing, and even probably 5 years from now, it's going to be different again.